All right, it's live streamed.
Okay, okay, cool. All righty. So go ahead, Amayakia, please, brother, and share with me what you had written me, but so that it can be clear to me, and like I said, everyone else knows what's being addressed.
So my question is about laborious work, right? Is it laborious, right? And this is, you know, with our dynamic, with the way we roll and how we get taught and our work that we do here. Is this laborious work? Because we work very hard a lot of times. But is it laborious work if you just enjoy your job and like every day is a good day, you know, and there's no vexation in the spirit, there's uh no sighing and crying, asking the Lord for some mercy because you want to break, or you want to you know like, let's say we have a delivery, we want just like just go and drop it off in the garage, something like that, as a mercy. So is it laborious work if it is like, if it is hard work but you enjoy your job and there's like no vexation?
Okay, let me say this. First, let's read the scripture that you're referring to. That's in Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, chapter 7 and verse 15, I think.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead when everyone gets it, go ahead and read it. so that streaming land will know what's being, the verse. Go ahead, brother.
Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 15. Hate not laborious work, neither husbandry, which the Most High hath ordained.
Now, what I want you to do is I want you to come back and read it like you're reading it to your newborn son, very fluid. You're not reading on the street. You're not reading over sirens. You're not battling people. We're in class. We finally got everybody in a setting where it's chilled. I want you to read strong, but I want you to read clear and not over hard. Go ahead.
Hate not laborious work, neither husbandry, which the Most High hath ordained.
Okay, now that is the verse that the brother is referring to. Now, Amayaka, you stop me when I'm, if I begin to address something other than what you're asking. But first of all, because it's laborious, don't mean you have this verse is letting us know how the Most High deals with Israel. He ordains, he builds men through laborious work. Look at what Jacob had to go. You know why Jacob had to go through what he did? Talking about with his father-in-law.
Yes.
You know, it's not his father-in-law / uncle, because Jacob was born into a mega monstrous inheritance and had no idea of what went into his father and his grandfather acquiring and maintaining that. Jacob had to know what went into it. And that's why the Most High had his father-in-law / uncle be abusive to him. His character was being measured and forged at the same time. Now, let me address this. It's the fact that you love what you do. Am I correct in saying, in other words, you like what you do, right? Amiyapia. Is that what you're saying?
The job itself, not all the time, but what we do here, yes, all the time.
Oh, then listen, that doesn't make it any less laborious. I used to chop wood for summers when I was in the foster system down in California. Brother, I couldn't wait for the summer. I loved any work that was building my body. That's how I measured, that's how liking things. I didn't like jobs where you sit around and you did something, then it was done, you hadn't had nothing to do, but you got a boss that you got to look busy. Although you did everything you're supposed to do, the boss still wants you to at least look busy. But create some more stuff. I was one of them dudes. I'm a physical oriented working person. I don't have no mechanical skills. In order for me to acquire mechanical skills in my youth, I was very slow. So that certain types of tasks and jobs mechanically that I was learning, but I didn't like them, not because they were hard or not hard. It was because I didn't understand them, and so it was slow. I didn't get to just get down and do it like hacking that wood and hacking it, quartering it, and then stacking. So The fact that you like something don't mean, or that it's enjoyable to you, that you cleave to it, doesn't mean it's any less laborious. It just means that you have the proper attitude about it. Now, let me say this. The true labor, the true challenge of the labor is not what you do. This is the true challenge. Like you guys with your moving company and the other entities that you have, it is with whom you do it and why you do it. That's the labor for us, because the Most High is bringing in all of us with these different personalities, different experiences. Some of us more mature than others. So I say more mature, I don't mean in the spirit. We all coming into the truth completely babies in the spirit, but some of us have more life's experience. You got brothers coming in from the military, then seen stuff and been around. You got other brothers coming in from the street. Then they went to the military. You got cats coming in, dropouts out of school, 14 years old. You got a hodgepodge of what? Of experiences, balled into a hodgepodge of personalities. You understand? And that's the labor. The labor really comes from what? Why? The purpose for which the Most High bring you there. And so he brings you there to what? Let me put it like this. What you all are there for is to benefit from the medicine that is the word of the Lord. And while at the simultaneously, while you're benefiting, meaning brothers are counseling, first of all, you're learning the truth. Guess what's really taking place? Y'all don't be getting it. The Most High is raising your intellectual acumen. The Bible ain't no fool's joke ass market. What do you call them? Remember the little bitty books we read in junior high, not junior high, elementary school, and Curious George. You know what I'm talking about? That level. The Bible's not that level of reading. Just listen. Let's say you walk away from having read, let's say, a chapter, and your comprehension is low. You don't comprehend much of what you read, but just to read the King James Version, that version of literature, that's an advance. And that's what the Most High be working. You have to go from reading whatever, let's say, that's if you read. Some of us only read damn billboards, and stop signs and traffic signs driving down the street. You got some people that just wasn't in the books. But for those that were into reading, you can't tell me that reading the Bible is a total different way of reading. It requires just to understand. Let me say, I'm not talking about the text, just to be able to read the word right, just to be able to read the phrase right. Who goes around and says, hate thou not laborious work? Gettest thou up from thine slothful, like I'm about to call you a lazy MF, right? And I'd say it in a biblical term, who talks like that? So there's a level of, believe it or not, there's a level of intellectual acumen that you're being cultivated to obtain. Now, that's not even talking about comprehension. That's just being able to say, I understand the words and I can read this phrase. I can read these 10 verses and the 10 verses flow. And I know what I'm reading I'm reading it right because I'm exercising the vocal inflections. I understand the point enough to stress certain words and to let other words not be the stress point. But that's a challenge. You guys know, for all of you who came into scriptures, what in the reading, came into the school, that was a hard thing. And some of you probably still struggling with it. And that's only because you don't do it enough. And you don't read out loud in your room or whatever to yourself. That's the issue. Then you got to read. That's so that you can master reading, the fluidity. Then you got to turn around and read in silence, because that's truly where your comprehension comes from. The practice, the skill of building and comprehension. This is the point I'm trying to show you. That's the true laborious work. I loved the physical work, but guess what I couldn't stand? Messing up when I was reading. Guess what I couldn't stand? Knowing that I read English, but I still don't understand what the hell I just read. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact that you can read English, and the Bible is the one that we're studying from tonight is in English, but you don't walk away understanding, that's the laborious work. That's the side that brothers be hating. That's why we don't grow. Because things that we don't like to do, what do? We shun them. We put them to the side. We put it off. But you let me know, Amayatia, am I addressing your issue? Because it sounded to me like, now this is me just speaking, like you might have like an issue like guilt because you like what you do. And this shit is supposed to be a little bit more unpleasant. And the scriptures tell you that about a person that first come in, and that throughout their experience, they don't get understanding. But as you get, I'm gonna show you something real quick, just to show you the dynamic that you're speaking of is right, but you're not, let's say you come in, well, let's go to chapter 6 of Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha and start off at verse 18. It's just a couple of verses. I'm gonna show you there is a trajectory of development that happens with all of us. It happens with the women too. It happens with everybody who decides to, who the Spirit moves to subject themselves to the lessons of the Bible. And I say the lesson meaning you guys know the truth of the Bible. This is a challenge. But if you are growing to where you like what you do, that's great, because guess what happens? Now you have to learn to love the people with whom you do it and for whom you do it. You have to grow to realize you're not even doing it for you. You're doing it for other people. Every last one of you have this inter or codependency, right? And the more of the elements of the body that takes this interdependency or this codependency serious, the more smoothly the body's going to grow, the more able it's going. And I say smoothly, that means what? The more seamless working together with each other becomes. When you got schisms and attitude issues, confrontations, that's all a natural part of what the Most High is doing. But guess what happened? We're like a big ass, this fella's like a big ass Frankenstein monster. You know why I say that? Because all you got to do, don't go there, but I want you to think of 1 Corinthians chapter 12. It refers to us as all being different members of the body, does it not?
Sure.
It talks about how the eye can't think that it's more important and that it doesn't need the ear. The ear can't feel like it's nothing because it doesn't serve the purpose of the arm. But guess what? These body parts are coming from. It's coming from dead cadavers. Ain't that also what the scripture refer to us as? The two prophets whose dead bodies are lying in the street of the great sea called Babylon and spiritual Egypt and spiritual Sodom. Does it not say that? So we're all cadavers that the Most High, we're one body that's been dead, but the Most High is taking the members from different dead body parts and assembling them together. And so if you ever looked at the movie or any rendition of the Frankenstein movie, the nigga didn't look right. That's why he got that big ass bolts in his neck. That was so that what happened? So that the lightning could strike the apparatus he was on and bring electricity into whoever's brain, whoever brain ended up becoming his. But that's us. We're nothing more than a Frankenstein monster. We're nothing more than a bunch of body parts assembled from cadavers, y'all, spiritually I'm speaking. And so imagine what happens, right, when you take one member who thinks a certain way and try to fuse that member with another member of a body that thinks a certain way. And the objective is to get this body to all think what? In unison. Not the same way, because they serve different functions. What happens? The arm still got to learn how to think like the arm. The whole purpose of the arm is to grow to be able to function and serve its purpose to perfection. But the problem is getting it to work with the other arm. You guys know that's called coordination, is it not? Walking requires coordination. But in the body that we belong to, this leg came from a different source and the left leg came from a different source. The right leg came from a different source or arm, and the left arm came from a different source. And now you're trying to get them to work as though they all initially came from the same body. And I'm just giving you an analogy to show you where the crises and the disagreements and the arguments and the contentions come from. It's because we're not all what? We're different members of, we all were members of different bodies. Some of us was members of bodies that belonged to the streets. Some of us was members of bodies that belonged to let's say coming from the church, some coming from higher education, some coming from military, some coming from whatever. So we all think a different way. And so The Most High is not taking us and saying, okay, we all got to think like this member. He's saying, I'm going to fuse you into, I'm put my spirit in you. That's what's going to make you guys fuse together. And you all have to think like me. Now, when it says think like me, that's not saying that you all got to think the same way. But it's talking about whenever some schism arises, we all have one uniform course of action that we're supposed to take. So if I got a problem with a brother, what do the scriptures tell me to do? I got to go to him and him alone. How many of us do that at this stage of the game? What I'm referring to, Amiyatia, is this be the part that don't be, this is the laborious work. What's being labored, the laborious work, the husbandry, right, that's kind of bitter, is us. It's the work that goes into taking all of these different men, different women that think different. Let's take that away and let's talk about a nuclear family, a man and his wife. It's a damn battle. Every one of you who got women know that that's a battle. Every one of you who have women know that the potential exists for that house to be torn in at least two different directions between you and her. It always comes down to a damn power struggle, not over physical strength, but what direction the house is going to go in. What is going to be allowed? What is not going to be allowed? And guess what? The only thing that could bring those two members to be in a nuclear household like it's supposed to is they all have to operate from the same thought. They all have to have administered to it, the husband and the wife. How does the Most High think? And then that unit, they're two different members of the same body also. We just called it wife and husband. We called it man and wife, man and woman. But guess what happens? We still have to, what makes us function at our optimal level? What really is the labor that goes into a marriage and making it successful? I'm speaking in the same capacity of a bunch of men on a job. It's bringing us into one mind. We don't think alike. And therefore what? We adopt the thinking of the one whose we're members of a greater body, that is Christ. And so how does he want us to think? And that's when the woman got to get in check. That's when the men have to grow some damn balls and testicles, grow some hair on his testicles, and put his wife and his household in order. And what be his labor's work? Overcoming the fear of losing her. When actually that might be the greatest thing that ever happened to him. You know, I be talking about stuff that people don't want to talk about. But he's too afraid. So the labor goes into what? Giving us through some spiritual balls, That's the reality of it. I'm speaking as a man, right? If you overcome the fear of loss, that ain't even half the battle. That's like 90% of the battle. Pride, sloth, envy, all that shit comes up to about 10% of what you got to work on. It's an intense 10%. But the greatest thing is fear and pride. Fear of losing. I fear what people are going to think about me. Literally. So go to chapter 6 of Ecclesiastes, because what I'm describing, what I'm walking through really is what the Bible describes as a person having a hard time. The person is of this experience being unpleasant to the unlearned. So read that, Elisha, chapter 6 of Ecclesiastes the Apocrypha, and start off at verse 16. We're going to read about 4 verses.
Yeah. Ecclesiastes 6 and verse 16. A faithful friend is the medicine of
18. Chapter 6 and start off at 18.
God, verse 18. My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shalt thou find wisdom till thine own age.
Now let's speak about all of you brothers being young men. There's a disposition. There is I'm going to put it like this. There's a setting. There's a purpose that you're supposed to yield yourself to because you're young Israelite men. That's why he said, gather instruction, be taught. Gather instruction is being taught, acquiring lessons so that you could be wise later on. And when it says in thy old age, youth, it's not speaking of the chronological years on earth. It's talking about from the time that you come into contact with the knowledge of the truth. You got to start right away, because guess what happened? If you don't do the right thing when you first come in, you have a very, very narrow window of opportunity. That's not saying you're going to leave right away. If you don't spend the first few years doing the right thing, You show the Most High what suit you are, your ass will be here another 30 years and won't get nothing. I'm going to show you that too. That's why he said, gather instruction from thy youth. The youth is referring to, yes, age, but it's talking about your nativity in this work. Go ahead, I'll read on down.
Verse 19. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth.
You're right at the mic, so you can read a little calmer, not as loud. That's what I was saying. Go ahead.
Oh, let me back up a little bit. Slacking. Come unto her as one that ploweth and wait for her good fruits. For thou shalt not toil much and labor.
Come unto her. I want you to go precept for precept. Come under her. When it says her, you're in acquisition of wisdom. So when he said come unto her, he's talking about the mentality in which you undertake this process. Come under her. It's not a thing that you're coming to. It's a process where you acquire something that's not tangible. Wisdom. And wisdom is spoken of in the scriptures in two senses. The first superficial sense is the correct way of applying what you learn. In the more spiritual and purposed way is wisdom is another title of the Spirit of Yahweh Shai. He is called the Spirit of truth. He is called the Spirit of wisdom. He is called the Comforter. He is called the Holy Spirit. All of those wisdom, all of those are titles for the Spirit of Yahweh Shai. So when you read wisdom, you're only reading about it in two applications, two connotations. On a superficial level, it's literally talking about the ability to execute what you know properly. But in order to do that, you got to have the knowledge that the Most High have, and then the Spirit of Christ comes to you. So when it says come under her, there's a process that you've been introduced to, and now you either gonna come to class or you're not. And then in coming to class, are you coming to class for nothing? You either gonna come to class with the intention of letting this process have a transformation on you, to transform you, transform to change the way you think. You do things the way you do things because you think the way you think. You think the way you think because you're under a certain regimen of knowledge. You've been trained. You've gathered instruction on how to live. But it was all errant. It was all wrong. So now he's telling us, come under this experience, this process. Give yourself to this process. Liz says, as one that ploweth and soweth. Has anyone ever did farm husbandry? I have done that too. That shit is not no easy work. Farming. When you plow a field, what are you doing? You're preparing a field to plant crops. Who's ever just taken a spade and a shovel and just had to turn over a yard to make it? I grew up in homes where the people, they were from the South, so the people wanted to take their normal, traditional home backyard and turn it into a garden. Because they was back when I was growing, all the black people was producing food for themselves. So I had to get my ass out in that backyard, and my foster father showed me how to do it. He went and took one patch, said, I'm gonna do this and you're gonna do the rest. And he got down there, it took about 6 hours to do it, man, I'm learning. And it took him 6 hours, me watching. And it took me about 3 weeks to do what this grown man did in 6 hours. But I got that knowledge. It was hard ass work. But guess what? Then came the planting. That's just plowing. Plowing is the process where you're preparing the field to be sown or to be planted in. Now, guess what it's telling you? That's what you got to do. Your fallow ground, the fallow ground of your mind, of your previous experience, of the things that you think you know, it has to be turned over. So that what? So that the new information can come in and take root. It can't be there. Now, it's not, listen, that's why I said come under, it's a process. It's still happening to me right now. 36 years into this experience, and every tomorrow is going to be newer than the day was. And by the end of the week, I'll be like, what the hell have I done for 36 years? I've been wasting time. That's how bad I feel when the Most High have me cross the threshold of clarity. I feel like I've been effing around for these whole 36 hours, 24 years old. What the hell have you been doing? Why is this? But you know, it ain't meant to be clear. You get the knowledge, and then the next week, everything is clear to you. The prize of wisdom and knowledge, and the Spirit coming to us, and us making that transformation comes at the price of you committing your life to it. And so as you move forward, you keep on growing. And that's why he said, come under her as one that what? That plow and sow. Because your mind is the field that's being turned over. And this knowledge are the seeds that's being sown in you. And that is hard work. You guys have, that's, listen, that's the labor. That's the true labor. Who can't lift up a damn, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to trivialize what you all do, but who can't lift up a damn sofa if you got enough men to do it? Who can't damn go to the house, pick up a refrigerator? You should know to be cautious with people's belongings. You should know how to properly protect people's electrodomestics and appliances and sofas. You don't want, people don't want their, their piano getting dented up. People don't want their sofa material getting cut. You should know that. You learn it. That's not difficult to do. But what is difficult to do is to change the way a man or a woman thinks. To change a person's proclivity, meaning what their innate inclination is. Like you get some type of news, some adverse news, and I have to learn how to change. I'm still working on it because I'm a very passionate and incendiary person. So I could be happy with some shit, but I tell jokes like this when I'm talking about with my sons. And no matter that my youngest son is 13 and my youngest daughter is 14, I talk to them like this. They've been hearing me scream since they was in their mama's womb. Acclimated from conception to hearing me scream. But guess what? When I'm dealing with people that don't know me, I have to fight like hell to not be me, because they could take my passion and my natural incendiary nature and what? And confuse it for anger. Confuse it for combativeness. So I don't get to just be me anymore. I have to be considerate and think, how am I coming across to people? And listen. And so what ground in my mind, just with respect to that, had to be turned over. He's saying, shit, I don't give a F what they think. They got to deal with it. Because that was me not caring about nobody. That's me not loving anybody. That's me making everything in the environment in which I insert myself have to adapt to me. That's evil. But guess the point I'm trying to show you? That's what it took me years to overturn on. And that's just one aspect. I'm not going to speak about just my natural love for being hateful. That might sound like a damn oxymoron. But I'm a natural hateful person. The first thing that come to my mind are not good thoughts, they're evil thoughts. Just damaging people, and talking like that. There's a certain spirit I got hold of when I'm teaching in class, especially if young men are sitting before me. Because then I'm going to just talk like I know young men is used to talking. But what if that young man is trying to make the transformation that in whatever how many years I've refused to make? So now I need to make the transformation, right? I need to change the way I think and behave and my delivery in many cases. Why? So another person can secure their potential transformation in me being an example. And all of this, brother, is the labor that the Most High is talking about. Don't hate. That's the hardest part. Because if a person hates a job so much, they'll leave the job. They'll leave the job and get another job. You got women swinging on poles just because they'd rather do that than to work at McDonald's. They don't mind swinging around the pole and letting everybody look up their rear end as if in the eye of Sauron, right? That's preferable to doing something that requires a little bit more what? Service, a little bit more. But what happens? It shows you their mind. Men are the same way. Just half the guys that be rapping, talking about why they sold drugs because they didn't want to flip no burgers. But flipping burgers, what? But selling drugs and jeopardizing your life every hour of the day that you're out there was more appealing than simply being in a humble setting and flipping burgers? That shows you how messed up the man or the woman's mind is. That I'd rather go out there And tomorrow I'm gonna go out there on that corner and I'm gonna push this product, right? So it could be my last day. But that's preferable to simply going and having to, work 2 humble jobs to make ends meet. That shows you how evil, slothful, and backward we are. And that's the labor. The labor is what? That people hate is being shown the flaws in their thinking, huh? That's what Israel hate. That's what all of us hate. It's shown that we think that children think better than us, that we thought better about it when we were 3 years old than we do at 23. That's what we hate. And if you think I'm lying, all you got to do is read, from the time that we came out of Egypt. What was the biggest problem? Trying to get us to think the way the Most High wanted us to think and not like Egyptians. Try to think like the Most High wanted us to think, elevate our thinking, elevate our intellectual, spiritual capacity instead of what? Thinking that there was some deep thing in offering a sacrifice to a stock of wood or a stone. It's stupidity, but we did it. The Most High have always struggled with what? With us hating the process that was designed to change the way we think and therefore change the way we behave. Changing the way we think and therefore changing our perspective of how he wants to use us. That's the laborious work that people hate. We're the husbandry. It says, hate not laborious work, nor husbandry which the Lord hath ordained. We're reading in chapter 6 that we're husbandry. That's why it said, come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth. Go ahead and read on down out.
Come. Ecclesiastes 6 and verse 19. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits.
And hold on. He said, wait. Why is he using an agricultural analogy? Because it takes time. It takes time. My son is out here growing sweet potatoes, and he harvests. He be out there taking care of it, just doing it. But I said, man, you ain't gonna get nothing until every 4 months. So you're gonna have to really he got his first harvest. This is December 21st is gonna be his second harvest. So 4 months before he got his first harvest, and him and his sisters out there springing. They reached into that dirt, man, and pulled out these big ass, we call them camotes, big sweet potatoes down here, man. When I was trying to show them, that is the effort that goes into you when you grow up. That very same care of teaching you how to think and how to behave and how to become a man. That's why the Most High tells us that. We're really the husband. And the scriptures refer to us as his vineyard. It refers to us as his husband, man. But that's what we hate. We hate the work. Now I'm talking about me. The work that goes into what? Into showing me how off I am and how useless and how prideful and how vain, how hateful, all other things. But guess what's even more hateful than that? Having to maneuver and operate with a man you're equal that have not necessarily your flaws, but he's under the same process. And so we be having a disdain for people that are like us, but we don't see them like us because they don't have the same issue that we have. They might have a different regimen of issues, some things in common, but their own little issues. And then they tend to hold us up in productivity. They tend to hold us up, but that'll be the Most High holding us up. Because what's the true work? When we say we're doing the work of the Most High, what are we really doing? Brother, the work of the Most High ain't teaching. The teaching is calling people so that you can what? So that there will be work to do. It's the initial stage of the work of the Most High. You are the work of the Most High. If nobody was in class, there would be no work being done. Now with the Most High, you can do all the moving and all the, whatever it is that we do, we can do all that. But if those settings that we find ourselves in together aren't showing us something about each other that reveals what needs to be worked on, and then we have a disposition to be used as a tool to work on that brother, to help that brother work on himself, then we're not doing the work. Because we got to work with the Most High. Damn, Lionel Richie, we need to make a song like him, but it's called We Are the Work. We Are the Children. Them niggas singing for AIDS or whatever it was they were singing. I think they were singing for some hungry ass African girl, either AIDS. They always making songs. Never mind, I'm about to get off on something else. But the song should be We Are the Work. But it's the Israelite theme song. There comes a time, right, when you heed a certain call, and you got to be the tool to help your brother get his shit together. right? I can do the lyrics right now. Just use the same music. I would get my ass for plagiarizing a copyright infringement. But that's just we're the work. It's not just knowing. That's why the scripture said, be ye doers of the word, not hearers only. How do you do this? Why does it say doers of the word? Because there are people with whom you have to use it. You got guys out there that poo-poo the whole camp dynamic. Oh man, you need to be on camp. We've been in a camp since the Most High brought us out of Egypt. What the hell are people talking about? The book of Exodus we're referred to as the camp. The lepers put them outside the camp. What wrong? Am I reading Elisha?
Ecclesiasticus 6 and verse 19. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits.
Uh-huh.
For thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat of her fruits right soon.
So that's saying it doesn't take long before you begin to benefit from what's being sown in you. And it doesn't. How long does it take? Shit, as long as it takes for you to stop eating the wrong foods when you find out. Just like that. That's what happens when you just start following the dietary laws. You've actually just stopped. You have actually put to a halt one angle in which you was killing yourself. It wasn't evident because you're young, but you were killing yourself. You're committing slow dietary suicide, eating the wrong foods. We can't even talk about just the dietary law foods. We could talk about the foods that you can't eat, but that's when I say can't eat, it's not pork, but it's a bunch of processed poison put in packages that have names that you can't even read. You can't even look them up in dictionary to see what those 20-syllable words are. We be poisoning ourselves. So it says, you won't toil long before thou will receive of your fruits. The fruit of health comes the day you stop eating the wrong foods. That's how fast it starts. The first thing that physically healing the body, always, the first step, always, without deviation, is stop doing the thing that's killing you. So the moment you stop smoking, cigarettes, drugs, whatever, vaping included, it's work on healthier lungs. Unless you came with a set of mufflers and not lungs like the rest of us. You got people that smoke as if they was born at a Midas shop and came with lungs. But the minute they come into this truth and stop that because of the dietary laws, they've benefited from that little bit that was sown into their what? Into their minds. That's why I say, just wait, come into her and you'll see. It won't take long before you begin to receive of her fruits. And then you take that concept that I'm using the dietary law to kind of make the point and apply it to everything else. The minute you start respecting that which is your neighbors, all of a sudden, guess what happened? You run the far less risk of being in conflict with your people or anybody, not just your neighbors, not just your people, but anybody. The minute you begin to keep your eyes straight ahead, you see somebody walking around, he ain't in the truth, his woman is kind of scantily clad, you got to turn and check it out. You don't need to do that. That's what's going to get your teeth knocked out or worse. All of those habits, the Most High be teaching us what? Thou shalt not covet. The minute you stop coveting, guess what happened? You've also reduced the thou shalt not steal, because coveting is always the first step that leads to stealing. You see something that someone else has and you want it, the next stage is going through what it takes to get it. So now you done what? You done brought your mind and the discipline to where you respect people's things, and all of a sudden you go and try to get your own woman or your own car or your own pair of shoes. You stop coveting. You let that person maybe more so inspire you. Get my shit together so I can get me, have me a beautiful woman like that. Good luck. But anyway, have me a beautiful woman like that. You see what I'm saying? This is what it's talking about when it says you will not toil long about her. But you have to allow what? The soil of your mind to be turned over and the new plants, the new seeds to be planted in. And then guess what the brothers are doing? Guess what you all are doing with each other? You all are watering those seeds through your examples. You all are watering your seeds. You're watering each other's seeds through the counsel that you offer, through the example that you offer, through the discipline that they observe in you, through the diligence that they observe. All of that waters me and shows me the seed that's planted in me, but now I see it could be done. I didn't have this business this time, but this other guy didn't have this business me. But we all serve as examples to show that wherever we come from and from under what condition the Most High is delivering us, we all can be changed. And that's what that verse is talking about. Move on down, I keep on reading.
9. Ecclesiastes 6 and verse 20. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned.
Stop. That's what it's talking about, Amayathia. The unpleasantness is from verse 16 and verse 18 and 19. That process, what state intellectually are we all in when we come to the truth? Unlearned. So it's supposed to be unpleasant. But guess what happened? She ain't supposed to stay unpleasant. Ain't supposed to stay unpleasant. Like nobody, when I say nobody, I'm speaking of Israel in particular. We hate criticism, huh? We hate us criticism to the side. We hate instruction. The Most High didn't bring us out of Israel and just start calling out all our flaws. He brought us out of Egypt, and call out our flaws. He brought us out of Egypt, and guess who knows what the Ten Commandments really were? Why did he give us that first? Because he gave us something concise that we what? To help us make an initial transformation. The Ten Commandments was an introduction. It was like a preamble to the process of change that he was going to change, not change, like transformation, that he was going to use the rest of the law to do. So for now, all of these, first of all, 600,000 men at the age of war, plus all the innumerable multitudes of the other demographics, the men that were too old for war, 50 years old and up, maybe 60, the men that were too young for war, and all of the women, for the babies, an unknown number. So he said, I'm going to use something to get them into it's almost like you buy some type of appliance and it comes with a quick start manual, a quick start guide. Y'all know that, right? Computers and all this stuff come with a quick start. Now you can get into all the other stuff with the true manual. But they know people want to buy stuff to start using it right away, so it always comes with a quick start manual. That's what the Ten Commandments is, huh? It's a quick start manual. All right? First of all, you guys are just getting out of Egypt, so stop bowing down to stocks of stone and wood. Don't make no images and don't bow down to it. I'm the one that brought you out of Egypt from the house of bondage. Number 2, right? Honor the sky, and goes on down. All of these are, but it don't tell us how to eat. That will come later. He said, thou shalt not worship or bow down to other gods. It didn't tell us how to worship them, but that will come later. Just don't, for now, don't do this. I'll show you how to honor me, but this ain't it. That's what the Ten Commandments were. So this process that we're going through is introduced to us in increments. And the Most High have men set up that know how to do it because we've been brought through it ourselves. You understand? And this is the laborious work that he's telling us not to. Here it tells you the process that's described in verse 18 and 19 is unpleasant to the unlearned. That's because why? Because he's unlearned. He's new. Go ahead, read it from the top of that verse again.
Ecclesiastes 6 and verse 20. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her.
Pause right there. Now he's telling you which ones are the ones that will leave. That means the level of unpleasantness will have not in them been rooted out. But why? When it says he that is without understanding, how is understanding acquired? What is understanding? It's that ability to demonstrate that you see that the knowledge is the information. So the Most High say knowledge. Wisdom is you demonstrate how. In other words, you perform it. Like what is it, Matthew 7? What will I liken the man that doeth these words and hear it? He said, I will hear these words and do them. I would liken him to a man that built his house upon the what? Upon a wise man that built his house upon the rock. So he's in that example, he's telling us what I said before, that first and superficial definition of wisdom is the correct application of knowledge. And that's reinforced in Matthew chapter 7. I think it's verses 26 to 24. I could be wrong, but it's talking about the two men, one took the knowledge and did it. And he's likened to a person, a wise man that built his house on what? On a rock. But the one that took the very same knowledge and did it not, he's compared to a person that what? That built his house, a foolish man, it says, that built his house upon a sand. And then that definition is reinforced in Matthew chapter 25 with the what? With the parable of the 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish. Everybody had the lamp. Everybody knew what they need to make them to keep the lamp burning. They need oil. 5 of them were wise and kept oil in their lamp. 5 of them were not. We can break down what the parables mean later, but that's the definition, the superficial definition of what wisdom is the correct application of knowledge. So you get this knowledge, your mind has been worked on, it's been planted, the seed's been planted, and you begin to execute your lessons and you're wise. Now, how you know you really understand is when you can go and duplicate the outcome, those things. You can do those things over and over. In other words, your consistency in the execution of wisdom understanding is not a thing, like it's something that's demonstrated. And I can prove it. Like, let's say someone is going to introduce some medium complicated form of mathematics. They done got us from the grade school math, they done got us to, high school or whatever math. And now they're not even talking about algebra, I'm talking about something a little bit more complicated. But they've taken us first and they've given us all the necessary levels of mathematics up to that point. Now, this one is challenging. What's the first thing they do? They teach us, they give us the information, right? They go through all the rules. This is a series of steps that you got to follow. Let's say an equation that requires a 5-step series of execution. And they drill, if they're a good teacher, they drill those 5 stages into you. And then what happens? You do your homework, you get an A, you get a B, you get a C, whatever you get. But the ones that really understand, what do the teacher do? The teacher call them up to the board and ask them to what? To do it in front of everybody. And the teacher be like, yeah, that was fast. Let me see your, sometimes you got teachers that want to see your, they want to see your work. They want to see it on paper. And people get ideas in my head. Do what the teachers say, because they want to see, sometimes they be so impressed that they want to see what you did, and the student be all arrogant about it in my head. Do what the teacher said. They must be trying to adopt your strategy. So put it on paper. Then what happens? They see and they start, okay, hold on. Go check this one out. And then you do that one just as fast. Now they start giving you more. They still don't go outside the parameter of those 5 steps. They just take those 5 steps and present you with equations that are more difficult, that are more challenging. Because they want to see, to what degree do you understand? And you demonstrate that you understand through what, y'all? Through consistency. You demonstrate that this time you got it right. It wasn't a fluke. Consistency. So when it says he that is without understanding, that's the person that don't come in and follow and do this consistently. They don't come in and follow and get humbled and broken and transformed consistently, so to the degree that they can demonstrate a change. That's what understanding is. It's not this thing, it's the ability to what? You demonstrate that you understand. Through what? Through the consistent execution of wisdom, meaning through doing the equation right all the time. Then you get to the point where you can what? You can explain it to the degree where other people, and guess what explaining stuff does? You know what they have this thing called the pyramid of learning. And the highest stage of the pyramid of learning is teaching. That's how you know you got it. And it reinforces, it's like that in anything, coaching, music, mathematics, it doesn't matter. And teaching reinforces and opens up more clarity to the subject. Anyway, he that won't stay is the person that's not executing his lessons consistently, y'all. Now, that's not a definition that you're going to find in the Bible. It's 36 years of me watching everybody. Some people come through and get down, and some people don't. And the ones that never get down are all the ones that just wouldn't use it. That's all, consistently. They might have been good sometimes, but they weren't the person that you could rely on. And when a person's like that, they demonstrate that they don't understand, because the Most High ain't bringing us in for no part-time change in our thinking. You know, this thing where new men come in and brothers want to show brotherhood, and the first thing you think of doing is doing some shit that feed the type of men that they got to stop being in the first place, going to the clubs, shooting pool. The last thing, he's not going to, when we do that, we diminish the probabilities for that person to understand the transformation that this place is designed to have. It got to be something different. You can't do, you guess what, every time y'all want to bomb somebody, guess where you're supposed to do it at? The school. That's what I like. The apostle. Some new people came in every day, right? Thousands. And all they did to get to know these people was the shit that the people was doing in the world. They didn't do that. Your job was to acclimate and reinforce this change that this information subjects you to. So a lot of times our more unskillful teachers will reinforce a person's what? Inability or even reluctance to come in and gain understanding. Because understanding is nothing more than the ability, coming to you is nothing more than the ability to demonstrate your wisdom. You're consistent. It didn't work this time, and then next time you did it. You're always on time. How do you know you don't lose your point, my water? How do you know you? Because under any circumstance, you always take the right course of action, even if it costs you. Because you know, because why? Because now you understand and you can appreciate the true what. You really accept that doing the right thing and the wise thing sometimes is going to cost you. That's called sacrifice. That's called suffering loss for Christ. The objective ain't to come in here and maneuver through this thing unscathed. Go ahead, Marwater. What were you going to ask or say?
The same scripture. So when it says, he that is without understanding will not remain with it, right? So let's say the person that's unlearned, he goes through that process. Is this particular person able to come back to be learned and to come back into knowledge, wisdom, and understanding?
Let me say this. Yes, because when you say able, that's a good question. And the answer simply is yes. The more delicate question is it likely, is it probable to come back? And the answer to that question with a few scriptures is no. You can't just be, that's why it tells you in Hebrews, you can't come into and have been enlightened. Now I'm going to show you so that you can see. Go to, in the yes question, the answer that is yes is Galatians chapter 6 and verse 1. Go there real quick, Elisha, and read that.
Come. Galatians 6 and verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
Right? That shows you our disposition, huh? We're supposed to be ready for them cats that messed up to come back. And then we have to operate. When it says meekness, that means whatever they did, it wasn't personal to us. So we can't come at them as if we got some axe to grind or something to prove to them. They have to prove themselves. So we have to create an atmosphere for that person to feel comfortable in coming back up. Now, I'm going to show you something else. The Most High rewards that effort on your part. Go to James, what is it? James chapter, is it Philippians chapter 5? Like I want the one where it tells you that he that converteth a man that errs. Is going to be James chapter 5? Is there a James chapter 5? That's the better question, right, brother? I'll show you. Let me see. He that converteth a man, it's going to be that or Philippians. Yeah, I'm saying James chapter 5, but I think it's gonna be Philippians. No, it is chapter 5 and verse 19 and 20. I got these cobwebs coming off my mind, brother, from being all old and stuff. Read that out.
John, James 5, verse 19. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one convert him.
That means if somebody, hold on. That means if somebody did what we just read in Galatians chapter 6 and verse 1. Somebody erred and you converted. That means you are instrumental in helping this brother to transition back. Go ahead.
Let him know that he which converted the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins.
So the Most High orders us, counsels us to receive that person in the spirit of meekness, and then he turns around and incentivizes it by rewarding us for doing so. But guess what happens? That person have to go to Ecclesiastes and Apocrypha real quick. I'll do this. Maybe let me see something. Go instead of there, go to Hebrews. I'm gonna show you something. Go to chapter 10 and read verse 26. You're gonna read from verse 26. We're gonna read a couple of them. All right, go ahead.
John, Hebrews 10 and verse 26. For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins.
See, there's a delicate line that I can't describe because only the Spirit of the Most High can define and know what's in every man's heart. But there's so many times that you could quote, mess up before it's ignorance anymore. And there's certain thresholds that you go backward on. The Most High say once you do that, when it says there remaineth no more sacrifice, that means that what? The sacrifice that Christ made no longer applies to you because you've shown so great a disdain for it. Read on down. Go ahead.
27. But a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries.
In other words, instead of the sacrifice applying to you, you get to look for the fiery indignation that has been reserved for the enemies. And that's from what? That means that's nothing that a teacher can impose. That's nothing that a teacher can assess. Only the Most High can know, okay, this dude had enough. And he's going back and doing that. So yeah, we'll take a man up into a certain point back as many times as he comes back. But he's still responsible for fighting his battles up. That's on him or her. But the Most High have determined that after a certain level of sinning or going backward willfully, that means intentionally. That means you've been taught now. I'm going to show you that one too. You've been enlightened. You know about the heavenly thing, the gifts of the things in the kingdom to come. The Most High said it is impossible to convert a man or to save a man. It's better off that we read it. That's good enough there. No. Verse 27 and 27 to 29. This will finish this one up, and then we'll go to the next one.
Yeah. Hebrews 10 and verse 28. He had despised Moses' law, died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses.
Now, what is he telling? He's given us the difference. Why this one is so severe? How come I could have done some intentional sin to the degree that now the sacrifice that Christ made no longer covers me? He's given us. Whoever sinned under the law that the Most High used Moses to give us, he said he died without mercy, and all it took was 2 or 3 witnesses. Go ahead.
Yeah. It says, of how much sore punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy?
Stop. Of how much sorer means more intense, more severe. Of how much more severe punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy, means shall he deserve? Go ahead.
Who hath trodden underfoot the Son of the Most High.
That's what happens when these guys keep going back and forth. And I don't mean back and forth like out the doors of the school. I mean in the doors of the school. And there's a threshold that you can, let me see this. These battles that you guys have to fight inside yourself, you better stop taking these little molehills and making mountains out of them. You know who you are and you know what you're fighting. You gotta fight your battles, huh? We're at war, and so our warfare, like the scriptures say, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. So that means there's a spiritual course of action that we got to take. And the first thing is, you know what? You have to isolate yourself away from the things that cause you to fall. You got to stop fucking around with yourself and always putting yourself in a position to go out and get high again. All the different things that y'all be fighting with, that's child's play at this point in the game. Is there nothing that can scare you? You see all the wars starting to stack up all over the world now? The prices of food is going up. Homelessness is all running rampant out. The Most High is taking care of us. And that's part of the reason why it's hard for us to take this grace serious, because he ain't touched. We're not being touched with the affliction. Any affliction that we're going through, it's what? It's self-imposed. I'm telling you, when you do that, this is what you're being guilty of. When you keep going out there and making those same mistakes, you know what? I'm going to play baseball with you. The Most High didn't play for baseball. I'm going to say after the third time, nigga, you want to do it. And the scriptures tell you that. The scriptures tell you that it's the first time. James tell you what happens. It says that you fall, the sin that you commit is from the lust that dwell in you. So that's why you keep setting yourself up to do the same thing. Oh, I fucked up again. No, you didn't. You didn't F up. You planned that. And if your soul is that worthless to you, then nigga have at it. But while you among the brothers, they're helping you. But guess what happened? Christ, the Most High, is watching. And you could be there. And that's why the Spirit says in Matthew chapter 7, not everyone that saith, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. That scares the shit out of me. I can tell you that right now. Just saying it, I gotta go check my underwear. Because I'm running around here crying, Lord, Lord. So he's telling you, when you do that, you are subject and deserve a more severe punishment than what happened when Moses' law was broke. That's what he's telling you. That should scare you, because what could be more severe than death? Eternal damnation. Go ahead, read it again, brother, from the top of that verse 29.
God, Hebrews 10 verse 29. Oh, how much sorer punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy, who hath trodden underfoot the Son of the Most High, and hath counted the blood of the covenant, wherewith he was sanctified, an unholy thing, and had done.
Hold on, for you to continue to do this thing, these things that you do with, and I'm answering your question in detail, Mawala. You see, if that person come back, they make errors. It's not even coming back like physically leaving the school. You could be there. You could have never left. But what are you doing, huh? You guys came out from under so many years ago, an elder that was like that. What was he doing behind closed doors? What did he make a big issue of when we had the multiple councils? What was his argument that he rested in? But did you see me? For those of you who were there, you know what I'm talking about. But what, did you see me? Did you know, he didn't give a shit about the fact that the Most High was looking. And his defense was literally contrary to what's written in the scriptures in Ecclesiastes, where it talks about a man that breaketh wedlock. It says he does what he does because nobody seeth him. It says, but he knoweth not that the eyes of the Most High are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. He's talking about the angels. They was all there watching that. So being here or leaving the school, you got nothing to do with it. Just what are you doing while you're at the school? Once you've been taught and you leave the school, you're under the same measure. It's not where you at. It's what you're doing with what you know. And that's how you show despite to the blood that was of the covenant. Let's talk about the new covenant, where we're no longer being judged for our inability to not keep the carnal law, but we're being judged now to be able to demonstrate our faith in Christ. That means you couldn't even do that. Not couldn't, you wouldn't. And so now there's a punishment that you're coming, that you run the risk of being under, that's more severe than what was suffered under the breaking of Moses' law. What could be more severe than death? Huh? What could be more sore punishment than death? It's talking about the eternal damnation of your soul. That's what that's talking about. Go ahead and read it on. Read it again one more time.
God, it says, Hebrews 10 and verse 29, of how much sore punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy, who hath trodden under the foot of the Son of the Most High. And
pause right there again. So every time we do something that we're conscious of, that we take that step backward, that's what we're actually doing. We are actually spitting on, we are actually despising what it was that Christ went through. That's what you do every time. And by the way, y'all, if you deal with these damn substances, you know that you're partaking in damn witchcraft. You should know that. That's sorcery. All things, I ain't talking about just the pharmaceuticals, I'm talking all the illicit things. That's sorcery. Whether prescription or otherwise. The Most High said he hath made medicines from the earth. Y'all know that one in the Apocrypha. So all this culture, y'all young niggas getting high and stuff, all right, go ahead and keep at it. Keep on, quote, falling into that shit. Keep on slipping up. You're going to be moonwalking in damn hell. Watch. You're going to be lighting it up in hell. I wonder if hell is going to smell like weed. If the smell of weed is going to outdo the smell of brimstone. That's what you need to ask yourself. Because that burning is real, lot. Christ said it over and over. It's real, it's a real place. If getting high means that much to you, dishonoring your father means that much to you, you women out there that's dishonoring your husband, if loose freedom that you have means so much to you, have at it. Wait till your stinking ass is burning in hell. I wonder how much hell, what part of hell is going to smell like stinking adulterous ass? Because that's what you're looking at. Then you men who won't stand up and fight to put your house in order, you're contributing to that through your cowardice. The scripture said the Most High have not given us the spirit of fear. Does it not say that? So put your house in order. Let these devilish ass women running circles around you. You're afraid to lose them. That's what you do when we have this knowledge and we fail to use it. This is what we're doing. We're despising the blood of the covenant. Read on, read it again. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off.
Yeah. Hebrews 10 and verse 29. Oh, how much sorer punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy, who hath trodden underfoot the Son of the Most High, and hath counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and had done
Go ahead.
And had done despite unto the Spirit of grace.
That's scary. So, Mawala, like I said, the Most High, we read a couple of verses, right? Galatians chapter 6, verse 1, James chapter 5, verse 19 and 20. It encourages us to be willing to what? To be willing to help a person recover. And then it also incentivizes our willingness to do so by letting us know in that process, we cover up our own sins. We help a person save his own soul from death. And in the process, we cover up our own sins. But guess what? Sooner or later, that brother or sister have to be accountable for themselves to the Most High. And the help that you will have administered, it still goes and counts in your favor. But if they don't act upon it and do so with consistency and diligence, guess what happened? This is what they got coming. Go to chapter 6. I will show you something. There comes a time, Mawala, when the answer to that question, can a person come back, literally becomes no. And that's what the next verse is going to show you in Hebrews chapter 6. Hebrews chapter 6. Huh?
Verse 4 through 6.
I want verses 4 through 6. Yeah, brother.
Yeah. Hebrews 6 and verse 4. For it is impossible for those who were once enlightened.
Stop. We all know what the word impossible means, right?
Yeah.
That means it can't be done. So this clearly ain't talking about the Most High, because with the Most High, nothing is impossible. This is talking about man, woman who received this grace, this gift of the knowledge, this second, third, fourth, fifth, however many chances the Most High give us before he finally what? Before he finally accepts our consistent backsliding as okay, that's what they really want. At that point, he's telling them it becomes impossible. Go ahead from the top.
Hebrews 6 and 4. For it is impossible for those who were once enlightened and have tasted of the heavenly gift.
How is it that you taste of the heavenly gift? You're tasting, you have experimented, you have actually experienced the benefits that come with unity. You have actually, exercising and executing and fighting to stay together. There's a scripture that talks about we're supposed to endeavor to keep the bond of unity of peace. The term endeavor means to strive for, right? It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be, this isn't something that the Most High made us so that it's supposed to happen effortlessly. It's the effort that is used as a demonstration on your part to show the Most High how bad you want it, how appreciative you are of having had this offered to you. It's effort. That's what it is. So it's impossible for the person who was once enlightened to have tasted of the heavenly gift. Go ahead.
And were made partakers of the Holy Spirit.
When it says partakers, that means the Spirit actually used you to bring people into the truth. It used you to counsel and help a brother cross a threshold in his mind, right? To fight, to whatever challenge that he faced, that she faced, he used you as the instrument through whom he worked to do it. So you taste of the Holy Spirit. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And have tasted the good word of the Most High and the powers of the world to come.
Let me say this, look at the successful businesses that you guys have, and then go and see people that have had more invested in them as far as education, as far as ability, right? As far as all forms of preparation, and they're living out here homeless right now. That's the good word. That means what? The good word is talking about all of those blessings and the security that the Most High promised us, to never abandon us, to be with us, to take us through those lows, but to bring us through it. To take us through the fire, he said, but you won't get burned. We've all experienced that. Go ahead.
Down. It says, and the powers of the world to come, if they should fall away, to renew them again unto repentance.
That means you had all of that invested in you, and then you fall away. It's impossible to renew you to repentance. Now, only the Most High can determine when any given spirit, when any given person, man or woman, have actually crossed that threshold. That's not something that I can say. That's not something that any teacher can say unless we actually saw you done did some heinous shit. Nigga, that one, according to the scripture, that one is so bad, I'm done with you. Right? You got few of them, but you have few things that are like that. The Most High that merciful. But when you arrive at that point in his eyes, you can forget it. That's all he or she or it wrote. Whatever your damn pronoun is, that's all she wrote. Go ahead, read again, verse 6.
God, Hebrews 6 and 6. If they shall fall away, to renew them again unto repentance, seeing they crucify to themselves the Son of the Most High afresh, and put him to an open shame.
So that means that passion that Christ went through before he was crucified, that culminated in his crucifixion, every time you do that, you put him through that again. You put him through the people spitting on him, covering his head and buffeting him, beating him down in the face, putting that crown of thorns on their head, 8-inch spikes that they had to use a stick to dig down into his skull. Roman soldiers gambling over his garments, mocking him, behold, hitting him with a stick and saying, and here's your scepter, King of the Jews. You put him through that, and then the climax of being on the cross and being mocked the whole time. At one point or another, a person that finally crosses that threshold, that's his designation. And the Most High, not man, the Heavenly Father, the Spirit, Christ Himself, have deemed that person impossible to bring back to repentance. So listen, well, it's very conditional. Most High, ain't no such thing. You people putting these two words together about the Most High, unconditional love. Ain't no such thing. The Most High say He hates the sinners every day. Y'all know that's in the what? Proverbs or Psalms. Tells you in Ecclesiastes the Most High hated sinners. I can do. But His love is extended to those that come back, that seize upon the opportunity that was what? That was made available to us by what Christ did. So yeah, and that's why, like I said, the brothers that end up in that position, that's the person. That's the spirit. Oh, did I drink my water? And I'm missing my damn clock, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be dehydrated. I'm trying to figure out how come my throat is so dry. That's the person that Ecclesiastes chapter 6 is talking about when it says, he that is without understanding. Because it's speaking of a person whose dynamic is such that they haven't taken what they've been learning and executing it diligently or consistently enough to be able to demonstrate that they understand. That's what understanding is. It's not something that you pick up and put it in your pocket. I got me some understanding. Neither is wisdom. For that matter, neither is knowledge outside the fact that it comes packaged in books. But wisdom doesn't. You got to use it. It's inside you. It's what you produce behind the knowledge. That's what wisdom is. Foolishness is what you produce behind the knowledge as well. But it's a manifestation that you ain't using what you're learning properly. That's what foolishness is. It's not an insult. It's not even a designation. It's a description of what you do with information. That's what wisdom and foolishness is. Consistency is what demonstrates what? He understands. Why? Because he never gets it wrong. And I'm speaking in the sense of like going up and demonstrating that you understand the steps of that equation. We're going to always get stuff wrong because that's how the Most High fine tunes and polishes us. We get it right until He demands more of us. Then all of a sudden we're being scrutinized by a higher standard. And so then we get something wrong. Not because we didn't know, but because now it's time to sharpen. It's time to sharpen their perspective. It's time to crystallize their view. It's time to what? It's time to demand more of Him. It's time to demand more of her. And so now you become what? He becomes more critical and begins to show us the flaws that yet exist. And then you get even better. And when you adapt to the new standard, the more critical and higher standard that you're under, what happens? You show that you understand by consistency as well. And that's the person that refuses to go through that. Go back to that, Elisha, and read that verse again. Ecclesiastes chapter 6, and what was it? Verse 20, he that is without understanding.
Yeah. Ecclesiastes 6 and verse 20. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her.
Go ahead.
Yeah. She will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trial.
Hold on. Here we go. Amayathi, the laborer's work. When it says she will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trial, it's talking about the process that he's under becomes cumbersome. It becomes burdensome. They don't want to do it. Go ahead.
And he will cast her from him, ere it be long.
That means before it be long. That means when it says he will cast it, he's speaking of the process that person is under. He's being compared to as this great stone of trial. And so when it says he will cast her, that means they'll remove themselves from that process before much time will have passed. And that's what happens, man. Brothers don't come in and work on themselves. They have all kind of excuses. The Most High be trying to pull selfishness up out of us. He be trying to pull envy. He be trying to pull sloth, right? Lying spirit, all of these different things. Hate, the hatefulness. Israel is hateful above all. Prideful, pride and hate is like running neck and neck. in Israel. Like a race where, you know, you get like a photo finish to see who's out first. Pride and hatred. It's like the Usain Bolt of the character. Whatever. I hope I said the dude's name right. Right? The Jamaican dude, Usain Bolt. That's what hate, huh?
Both,
Yeah, whatever his name is. Dude is fast, right? But pride and hatefulness in the race of the evils in our character, pride and hatefulness, it requires a photo finish to see who won. And that's all of us. We just have different ways of demonstrating that. And so, are there any other questions? Let me say this though, concerning all of that. What makes it probable? Well, let me put it like this. What are the secrets to success in that? How do we defend ourselves from those probabilities, right? The negative probabilities. But all of that requires is what you do and the consistency with which you do it from the time that you come in. You can't listen, I don't think you brothers got this long window of opportunity. You can be there forever and still be rejected. Remember, once again, some of us are going to be rejected only on the day that Christ comes. That's scary. That's Matthew 7. I'm going to keep on evoking that. So we could be in the school. Yes, brother in the back.
Yeah, John, want to ask a question with this Kawakab.
Go ahead, Art.
Want to know, what do we do as far as us knowing this knowledge, but we got family members that might not be on the same path? Do we cut them off, or do we continue to be examples and hope that they'll?
Okay, I don't like to answer a question with a question, so I'm gonna try to make it. I'm gonna answer a question with a series of suppositions, right? In other words, first of all, it depends. Do you live with it? Because there's one dynamic. If you're under the roof of the people in your family that, for whatever reason, economic reasons, whatever it is, you're still with the family members that don't believe up, then there's a level of humility and maneuvering that you got to go through, right? But if you don't live with them, that's like an easy ass thing. I cut them off, not because I said so. Let's read what your options are. But in practical, meaning to be able to answer the question practical, that means in a fashion that you actually could go out and use it today right after class. Do you live with these people? I'm not asking for an answer. I'm telling you, I'm asking in the sense of these are the things that you got to take into consideration, because living with them makes it more of a challenge, but that challenge is designed to get you to use the scriptures to work on you more intricately, because you teach them and you demonstrate them through your example. Like that's it. You ain't got to eat the food that they cook for you. Let's say you got any more you want to stop? I'm going to keep you hunched over here, brother. Y'all be hunched over already at work, man. Any other question you want to ask?
That's probably my question.
Okay, I'm gonna give some scriptures for what you just asked. Okay. So listen, everybody. Go to what is it? 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Second Corinthians chapter 6, and you're going to start off at verse 14.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
2 6 and verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers.
I'm giving you the scriptures, and everyone executes these scriptures in the fashion that they do. But I'm going to tell you this, what the Most High have demonstrated to me through not just my decisions, but others' decisions as well. The most powerful brothers in the spirit are the ones that didn't make this shit or overcomplicated. When it says be not unequally yoked with non-believers, I don't hang around people that don't believe. Now, back in the day when I had my operation going on, we had a store and a school. All during the course of the day, clearly I'm around non-believers, but I'm working. And at work, our interaction was designed to be keen enough to develop and engage in conversation And any opportunity, we're inviting people to class. And that's what we did for the longest. That place, the store was right next door to the school. So I'm interacting. Then we had other clients, man, and people just in general, the people that just know us, they're into all type of stuff. I don't do nothing with it. My in-laws don't believe anything, and they're at peace with me. And how come you don't never, they be talking to my wife, and how come he don't never come to you? He's always working, and I am. But if in the event they had a question, or they know what I teach, they decided to say, I want to ask you something. I'm over there teaching. Now, that haven't happened. That hasn't happened. Now, we got Spanish classes here in my house on Tuesdays. And so the people that come, those are the ones that we roll with. The people that don't want this, I don't make this thing complicated. And that means my brothers, I ain't seen my biological brothers and sisters since I came into the truth 36 years ago. And I don't call them, I don't look them up. Let me see whoever's doing on Facebook. No. Why? If the Spirit wants them, it'll get them now. When they had me, I was there. They knew where I was at. When I came back to California, was teaching on the street. They knew where the school was. It got around, and I don't know how it happened. The Kawakab, my slave name, they would call me. He's a bodyguard for Farrakhan. I don't know how that line got across. He's in the Nation of Islam, and he's a bodyguard for Farrakhan. I don't know how did that happen. I ain't ever stood in the same room. Well, I will say the same room, because I went before I came into the truth to see some speeches. But I ain't never stood beside the dude. They be having them guys, oh, come on. Every other word the dude say, oh, come on now. Like I guess that was supposed to be me. All type of lies. This knowledge is easy to execute. We make it difficult. We challenge ourselves by trying to look for them. We treat the Bible like a white man's contract. We be looking for loopholes. That's the truth. What did that verse say? Be not unequally yoked. That means don't hang out with unbelievers. Now, what does that mean when it says hang out? Life itself requires for you to navigate and interact with non-believers. So what does that tell us? That's telling us any of our intimate time, brother. They invite me to parties, I don't go. Thank you. Oh, we having a dinner, I don't go. Simple and plain. Why? Because I'm working. Am I lying? No, I'm always working. Always. Be not unequally yoked with non-believers. Go ahead.
For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness?
And is friendship based on things in common, huh? And I ain't even got fellowship with brothers in the truth. Brothers that teach what I teach. Why? Because of their conduct and what they're teaching, what they've allowed their teaching to evolve to. So I hang out with them. Anybody whose teaching have evolved into them being the center of attention, I ain't got shit to do with them. How many years we go back in the truth? We go back some years. Come on, guys that are my elders, guys that are my subordinates, guys that are my peers. Nothing to do with them. Why? Because they could be doing it better. And that's not me saying that I'm the standard. The Bible is the standard. And that while they are obviously going contradictory to the standard, it's easy for me to stay away from them. Go ahead, read on down.
Yeah. And what communion hath light with darkness?
Read on.
And
what's the rest of that verse doing? For what fellowship? And what communion? That's asking you to justify your need to be around them. That's what he's saying. He said, what? That's a way of saying, then what cause do you have to be around them? Well, I could teach them. Them niggas is rejecting it. So that's why I said if you live with them, you're actually under a more demanding and challenging dynamic. And that way, that means you are only responsible for your conduct. But how the dynamic unfolds in your living situation, if they're not adhering to the dietary law, then you're responsible for making sure you eat the right foods, right? If they're doing the Christmas thing, the Halloween thing, the Thanksgiving, you're responsible under that same roof for not having anything to do with it. And not going to war with them. Just respectfully and peaceably declining to participate. And that's it. Simple and plain, huh? Go ahead.
Verse 15. And what concord hath Christ with Belial?
When you look in the Old Testament, the term Belial was used a lot. They would say the sons and daughters of Belial. that means the sons or daughters of disobedience or rebellion. We submit to Yahweh Shai. So that's why I say I don't have no, and I'm at peace with people. I'm talk to people. I make jokes, everything. But now, see, man, you got to come over sometime. We work neighbors. You want to come over and watch football? I'm always working. You got any kids? Yeah, but they always working with me. But I can do that. I'm in a place where it's a little bit more. I can exercise a little bit more authority and say so over my household without laws and external sources getting involved, Doc, all the way down to the education. Go ahead, read on.
God, it says, or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel?
Yeah, with a believer, with a non-believer. There's only one thing that justifies me being in their presence, and that's because I'm either working with him or I'm in a circumstance where I'm always what? Not being a Bible thumper, not being a Bible basher, but I'm always available because that's why we're the light. We're not the light to somebody. You can. Like if I'm around, let me say this: when I'm around non-believers, brother, I roll like a non-believer in the sense of communication. I don't overhold it with people. That's why it's making me hard. That's why it's a bit more challenging for when I get into this setting to be all not using no vulgar words. Because when I'm around people, I talk. People talk. I'm around here so righteous to where nobody could damn identify with me. The whole purpose is to be able to what? Be an inviting figure for people to want to engage in conversation. And I'm like that. They'll tell you everywhere I go, I'll have you ass in stitches out here. I tell some of the most risque and vulgar jokes. If I'm around the men, I push the envelope a little bit. If I'm around the women, I do that. Why? Because that demonstration is what makes people on the dark side without the light more apt to communicate and approach me. Now we've had people, what do you guys go to church? I'll be like, well, you know what? We don't go to church, but we study the Bible. Oh, really? Well, what? And then I start talking to them. I go right direction what I've been studying. I found out that the Guatemalans are actually descendants of the people of the Bible, just like that. I don't be beating around the bush because why? Either they're going to cleave to it or not. Really? I'll show them. I fight like hell to show them. But it's me coming across as communicable on their plane, in their domain, that makes me approachable. And this is what Paul meant when he said, to the weak I became as the weak, to the strong, he said, to them that are without Christ. In other words, I know how to deal with them. But once I done got past that encounter, but I ain't hanging out with them. And they'll be so pleased with the interaction that they'll invite me over. But if they ain't invited me over to teach or to share what I done dropped on them, I'm always busy. It's just there's a way that you got to maneuver through it wisely, but you can't let nobody compromise you. But if you're under a roof with them, then the Most High is just putting you in a circumstance where you get to be more skillful. And believe it or not, the discipline and the consistency, it may be that it has a powerful effect on some of those people under the roof, if only one of them. Go ahead, read on down that. Verse 16.
God, 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 16. And what agreement hath the temple of the Most High with idols?
Go ahead.
Ye are the temple of the living power. As the Most High hath said, I will dwell in them and will walk in them, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people.
So he's telling us what the purpose of us was, what our purpose is. We're the source. We're the people through whom he manifests himself to the world. That's why he called us Zion. It means the monument. We are the proof that he exists. We are the representative figure on the planet that he is. Go ahead.
Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you.
So that's why I be so hard on the concept of brothers getting a break and airing out. That's the last thing you need. Some break from this dynamic. That's your spirit and the carnal crying out to be fed. You don't need to go to no pool hall. You need to do whatever you was going to talk about over pool and beers, you can come into school and talk about it. Or someplace else. That's the spirit of carnalness that's trying to be fed when it needs to be starved out. Just imagine yourself, Peter and James and everybody taking a break. Gonna go down to whatever side of the town where all the people that hung out, not with the intention of saving nobody, just airing out. Most High didn't bring us in this thing for no vacations in the air out. That's what the term living sacrifice means. It's the old you and the purpose that you serve and the liberties that you seized upon are no longer participated in because that version of you is dead. That's how you come out from under. That you have to kill that entity. You have to kill the way that entity thinks. You have to kill it by depriving it of what it feeds off of. Those practices and those hobbies and those things that it participates and indulges in. You gotta deprive it, you gotta starve it out. This works for me. I do none of that stuff. And I've been told over the years that Kawakab don't know how to be a brother. Why? Because I don't go to the club and chase hoes with you. Because I don't drink myself into a stupor where I can't perform the next day. You see what I'm the next day? I'm so ineffective behind what I did with you last night. No, nigga, that's not my idea of serving Christ. And I clashed with my teacher behind that. Because I'm here to get me saved. Shit, what they do with them, I care, but shit, you ain't about to impose your carnal shit on me. And I've watched my teachers, I've watched my peer, I've watched subordinates destroy themselves, just like the scriptures tell you. What brings wise women down? What brings wise men down? It says drink, right? Strong drink, wine, and women cause men of great understanding to fall. And I've watched that happen in real time. Watched it. Same guys deriding me because I didn't do it. And so you got to be strong and look out for yourself out. But if you're in that dynamic to where you're under the same roof, all that requires is the mentality that, okay, I'm going to be an example for these people. One of these people I'm going to have a positive influence on. But your resolve has to be such as what? As none of them are breaking you. And Satan works in what I call undetected increments. That means they'll move on you in these small things that appear harmless. Right. You see what I'm saying? Little things. Come on, they're going to accompany you here, accompany you there. Want you to do something peeling into your study time. Brother, you have to have your dynamic set and you can't deviate from it, because if you do, that's the first undetected degree that Satan is working on diminishing. He ain't got to make you go out and have sex on the Sabbath. All he need for you to do is do something so insignificant that not even harmless because it comes across as nothing. And that's why you have to establish your dynamic from which you do not deviate unless something else that's just as important in this work pulls you from it. You know what? Remember what Christ told Paul or Peter. Christ said, Peter, Satan hath sought to sift you like wheat, but I have prayed for you. And that's all of us. Like Satan wants to sift us all like wheat. That's the big old sickle that and just cut you off. Right? But he's wise. And he knows how to work through our lusts. And he comes at us with a lot incrementally in stages with activities and with moves that we can forgive ourselves for doing because it's nothing, but it's always something. Remember, Satan, everything is always a strategy to introduce the deviation. And all I need is so many deviations, and I got this nigga doing a U-turn. That's how Satan works. Did anybody else have a question? Yes, brother.
Let me make sure I word this right. So as someone whose faith has been wavering, especially I guess having trouble with a lot of understanding, how would I make sure that I'm as possibly consistent and not really, I guess, making it as less complicated as possible?
Okay. The first thing I would just suggest is that there be a proper assessment made of it. So you open it up by saying, as a person's faith wavering. So let's talk about faith, because that might not even be an issue. Do you believe in Yahweh Shai or not? Are there times when you don't believe?
I would say, I mean, what do you mean by believe? Like just believing?
Well, let's see, that's the point. I'm trying to show you made a statement that you're probably assessing yourself and your assessment isn't correct. So, and it's coming across as complicated. So I'm gonna use me. I believe in Yahweh Shai. And when I say Yahweh Shai, what I've been taught about him, not just the color, but the purpose, who he died for, why I've been given the opportunity. I believe all that hands down. There's never been a day when I never believed that. There's never been a day when I would. So my faith haven't wavered. So that's what I'm asking you. Has there ever been a day when you said, no, Christ ain't really real? Has there?
Not like recently, but I mean, I would say a couple of years ago, because I grew up in pretty much knowing that Christ was real. But I mean, I think for a few years there, I was just doing whatever I wanted.
But I'm saying, but were you in the truth?
No.
Well, then see, that's the point believe me, but I'm not trying to be overcomplicated. But if I'm going to help you, if the answer is going to help you, you have to understand and properly characterize what it is you need addressed. So you don't come across, and I'm not talking about from looking at you, I'm just saying that you understand what it is to have your faith waver. Like when my wife took the kids. But I believe that made me believe more, because I had been teaching that to other people and had to counsel and help other people as they went through it. And knew that one of these days I was gonna have to go through it, because if I could have the presence of mind to help men and bring the scriptures to help them fight through that, then I know one day my time was coming. And when my time came, when my woman left and took the kids, brother, I was more of a believer than before she left. So my faith didn't waver. But guess what was challenged? My resolve. That's what I'm trying to show you. So when you say wavering faith, that literally it suggests that sometimes, since you've been into the truth, since you've been taught the truth, sometimes you believe, because that's what faith is. You really believe. You really understand it and you believe. But in other times, whether at lows or at highs, some people cast off the faith, success comes. Shit. It ain't always about the lows, right? The scriptures tell you that one of the prayers that's in Proverbs is, Lord, don't let me be rich or don't let me be poor. What does he say? Lest I be rich and cast thee behind, cast your name. People cast Christ off when the success happens. So wavering faith is one thing. Now, I'm asking you go through periods where you no longer believe the truth of what you've been taught about Christ?
No.
Okay, so now give me a more accurate description of what you go through. I can help you with it. Now we know it's not, now we know that your faith is solid. All right, go ahead. See, this is gonna make, what are you being compelled to do? You're being compelled to take a more accurate introspect. You're being made to sit back and actually think about what you do, what you've gone through, whatever it is that you might stumble to, and be more accurate in assessing what it is.
Honest with myself, really.
Yeah, exactly. So now what would you say? Now that you're here in front of all the brothers, talk to me, bro.
I would say I more so growing up, I held in a lot of resentments, different things. So as I came towards, especially more so recently, it was hard to let a lot of those go. So I mean, I might even just brush them off, but I mean, letting them go.
Yeah.
That me being like, okay, well, I'm expecting that type of care.
Okay. See, guess what happens is you are experiencing what most of us experience, and some of us are more open with it than others. Mm-hmm. We have these high-ass expectations for the people that the Most High have us working with. And when they don't meet those expectations through how they treat or mistreat us, right, then we become resentful of them. And so you know what that really is? That's really now I'm gonna call it self-righteousness. You're judging or assessing them by something other than what even the Most High told you they were. Who did Christ come for? Did not Christ say, I am come for the sick? You know where you are right now? We call it the sword of truth. Bible school, but nigga, that is an insane asylum. It's the truth. I'm gonna prove it right now in the scriptures. This school is an insane asylum. Now, real quick, I'm gonna prove that. I want you to read Matthew chapter 5. Let me see. This is when Christ, it's gonna be chapter 10. This is when Christ sent the apostles out on their first mission. So is Elisha there or who's there? I see y'all stirring around. I don't see him, but I mean, I can tell some stuff is going on because y'all stirring around and stuff.
Yeah, I'm here right now, brother.
Okay, brother. I want you to read Matthew chapter 10, and I want you to read verses 5 through 7. It might be 8 as well, but start off at verse 5. These 12.
Okay. Matthew 10 and verse 5. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any of the city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Go ahead.
And as ye go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick.
Pause. Heal the sick. I'm going to take you to this dictionary, y'all. This dictionary is the Webster Encyclopedic Abridged Dictionary of the English Language. It is the edition. Let me tell you what edition is in case y'all want to do. They got apps where you can actually go and get these books in the apps. I'm a book person. I am not with the computer. This is a hold on. 19 edition. Wait a minute. Spell copyright. This is a 19. Where the hell is it? This is a 1994 edition. The first time it was put out in 1960. All right. But this one is a 1994 edition. I'm going to go now, Elisha. While I'm looking for this, I want you to go and find the verse where Christ told the people that I am not come for this heal. I'm not come. Where he says they that are not sick need not a physician. All right.
Only not a physician.
Huh?
Only not a physician.
Say that again.
Only not a physician.
Yeah, whichever way it's pronounced, brother. Whichever way, because you got a couple of them, and one of them it says they that are not sick need not a physician. But if that's the one that you got, whichever one, that's the same point. Meanwhile, I'm going to be looking up the definition of sick, so you guys can see when I call us insane in our institution, this thing that we call a school, because that's a beautiful euphemism for where we gather, right? But we're not here just being taught. We're here being healed. We're being taught about our sicknesses, but we're being healed. We're being diagnosed. And the Bible diagnoses us, and then it comes with a prognosis. It comes with the stages to help us recover from our diagnosis. Now, I'm gonna read this. Y'all give me some time. This big ass dictionary, elemental P, Q, R, S. I gotta do that because sometimes it is what it is. I don't be knowing which order the alphabet is in.
Do the same thing, man.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, HIKJ. Okay, yeah, right.
Let me help you out.
Say that. What you say?
LMNOP.
Stop doing that. I mean, yeah, HIJK. Okay. I'm looking up sick, and I'm almost there. Okay, sick. It has about 13 definitions. But listen to the ones that stand out. I'm going to go right. First of all, it says afflicted with ill health or disease. That's number one. Ailing. Number two, affected with nausea, inclined to vomit. Number three, deeply affected with some unpleasant feeling as of sorrow, disgust. Now, this is the one that Christ was talking about. Number four, it says mentally, morally, or emotionally deranged, corrupt, or unsound. That's what we're being healed from. Now, I'm going to prove that. When it says mentally, what are the scriptures? I'm just going to call them out. You guys can find them, write them in your notes. The scriptures, does it not say my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge?
No.
That's mental. Okay. It says morally. Morally refers to what? The fact of our conduct. It's contrary to the law. Morally unsound. This is why our people out there selling drugs to each other. Our women are are aborting, basically serial killers of the womb. Our men are depraved homosexuals and murderers. It's the reality of it. We're mentally and morally. Then it comes back and says mentally, morally, what is it? Mentally, morally, or emotionally. That's why you can't sit down and just talk to a brother. Niggas all screaming at each other. I'm talking about the brothers that's teaching them. All you can do is go and see what the Israelites with the 30, 40 years in the truth sit back and do with the Bible. They're all emotional. They're fighting each other as if they were the enemy. Got the same book. Make videos against each other. Put some shit out on video, but won't do what the scriptures say that they teach. They won't just call a brother and say, listen, brother. They won't just execute Matthew 18 and 15. If you have an issue with a brother, call and say, go to him and him alone. After what in this knowledge, in this practice, in this service, do you grow exempt from having to execute what you teach? You got to people before it no longer applies to you. See, that's never the case. So in doing so, it shows that, once again, mentally, morally, or emotionally deranged. Now let's go look what deranged is. You know what deranged is? Deranged is the opposite of arranged. So you want to know what derangement look like? You go into somebody's house and they got shit that belong in the refrigerator in the closet. And things that belong in the closet, they got shoes in the refrigerator. I'm gonna prove it to you. So I'm going from here to look up what deranged, because to be sick is mentally, morally, or emotionally deranged, corrupt, or unsound. And it's all of us. This is what we are. Let me go there. You gotta look in the mirror and say, I'm sick. I am insane. Hold up. Deranged. Deranged. Listen to this. I'm gonna read deranged first, the verb. To throw into disorder. Wow, that seems to characterize the Israelite family structure first and foremost. The nuclear family. The dynamic that exists between husband and wife, disorder. Give a shit what nobody say. The dynamic that unfolds between man and wife and how it transcends to their children, disorderly. This is what derangement is. It says to throw into disorder, to disarrange. That means there's an arrangement, and then you're doing it in a fashion that's other than what it is to be arranged. And that is what it is to be sick. And another word for derangement, I'm going to show you something. Oh, hold on. To disturb the condition, action, or function of. That means there's a way that a family is supposed to function. There's a way that a community of men that belong to the same nation is supposed to function. There's a way that a nation is supposed to function in relation to other nations. And we don't do it like that. Now I'm going to read it again. To disturb the condition, the action, or function of. So you can say the function of the family, the function of the nation, the function of the man, the function of the woman. To be disturbed, to be made out, to be non-functional, to be made dysfunctional is to be disarranged. Now listen to what it says with deranged. It says number 3, to make insane. And that's why I call all of our schools insane asylums. Now ours, you know me, I'm going to show some favoritism here. Ours just happens to be a rehabilitative setting. That means we come here to work on each other and be changed, Doc. This is what Christ meant when he said, heal the sick. This is how we contribute by being used in the hand of the Most High through Yahweh Shai, and what? Being those who subminister the knowledge of the medicine. It's the medicine. This is how we have the power to heal, right? But you got to be honest with yourself. I don't know why you end up in these long-ass, drawn-out councils where you could got to the point in the first 5 minutes. It shows you I'm talking about the dynamic. I don't have to be there. I've been doing this for 36 years. I know how councils unfold. You take the first 3 hours wasting your damn teacher's time. Then just about when everybody's eyes are burning, niggas is nodding out, it's getting to the bewitching hour, then the brother finally opens up. Now we got to try to take off this fatigue and help you. Now somebody stop me when I'm wrong. Am I wrong? Ain't that how councils work out?
God,
So y'all be getting out at 4 and 5 and 6 in the morning. Got to get up for work at 7. Stop me when I'm off. Those are the symptoms of damn derangement. Because all you have to do is come in and just be honest right off the bat. It's 8 o'clock. Let's go and get this council started. But the level of sickness that we have, believe it or not, I'm going to tell y'all this, is we lack love. And so we beat around the bush for hours as an attempt to make the teacher demonstrate how much he loves. Just like a woman just won't tell her husband what the fucking problem is. And she wants him to just dig and dig and dig and dig, because that's her way of knowing that he loves her. We're like a bunch of damn love-starved women, and that's our sickness. It's one of our many sicknesses. I'm just trying to show you these are the symptoms that we demonstrate all day every day. It shows we're sick, that we're deranged, emotionally, mentally, and morally. Yeah. Our sickness is contrary to how the Most High would have us recognize him and function and behave. So this is now Elisha. Now you guys saw it. So those were the definitions of sickness. It was to be sick. I read the 4th definition, and then I came back and read and it told us to be mentally, emotionally, or morally deranged, corrupt, and unsound. Y'all can look up them others. You can look up corrupt. You got a general idea of what the hell corrupt is, because we come into the school corrupt. You got a general idea of what unsound is, because our arguments demonstrate that we are just not right. We're not on the even kill. But that's what you're dealing with. Now, let me say this to you, brother. That's what you are. You come to be healed. And so to be resentful that you're in an asylum, an insane asylum, rehabilitated as it is, well, what else were you expecting for these men around you and yourself to elicit? What else are you going to demonstrate? And you're going to get mad because you welcome to, but see, in order for you to accept it, it has to say, instead of SOT, sort of truth, it has to say insane asylum. And you be like, okay, now I know what I'm looking for. And I know what I'm up against. So in order, because we're about to put that sign up there like that, I'm here to tell you we're all sick, huh? And I'm not the sickest. And I don't mean that in that rapper. That shit was ill, nigga. That shit was sick. I mean, no, we're sick. And believe it or not, all of these, the way that if anybody's still struggling with the drugs, disrespecting their parents, guess what that shows you? The levels of our sickness have taken us, the derangement have taken us to suicidal tendencies. Because are those not the things for which the Lord said he will kill us? Yet we do them. Now, go ahead and read what you got, Elisha. Tell everybody where it is.
Matthew 9 in verse 11, starting at 11.
Uh-huh.
It says, and when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, why eateth your master with publicans and sinners?
Oh, read from the top box. Shit, you got to. This verse prompted something. They're responding to something that they saw in Christ. Go ahead, read from a little bit above up. What would it be, like verse 9, maybe?
God.
Go ahead.
It says, verse 9, and as Yahushua passed forth from thence, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom. And he said unto him, follow me. And he arose.
Matthew was a tax collector for the Roman government against his own people. That's like your brother working for the IRS and you're one of his caseloads. Your brother has to make sure that you pay your money to the Romans. Go ahead.
Done. It says, he said unto him, follow me. And he arose and followed him. And it came to pass, as Yahushua sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him.
That means it was nothing but niggas from the streets and tax collectors. All Roman employed tax collectors, which was listen, you don't understand, there were only ever two things that ever caused revolts in Israel, big time, and it was always the raising and the augmenting of taxes, and then the putting in of statues and things, abominable things in the temple, flags with Tiberius Caesar's image on it, those things that infringed upon the moral code with respect to idolatry and taxes. So he had all the enemies of Israel sitting there as far as the publicans were concerned. And then all the cats that was from the streets, nothing to do with the life around the temple. And this is the Pharisees knew these people. They all knew each other. Go ahead.
Come. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, why eateth your master with publicans and sinners? But when Yahushua heard that, he said unto them, they that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick.
See that? So now let me say this, brother. The things that you can't let go, that you might harbor the resentment of, it's nothing more than what your brothers around you elicit, what they demonstrate. The things that are offensive are nothing more than symptoms of the illnesses that they have. That's all. And so for you to resent that is for you to hate the purpose for which you're brought there. You're sick yourself. You have your own issues that they can hold and resent. Always be honest with yourself. But the biggest thing is Israel don't really understand the purpose for which we're in this building. We're sick as hell, huh? We're deranged, we're insane. And the Most High is putting us into order. He's healing us. His word is putting the perspective that we need to what? To have that rehabilitative effect on the way we think and therefore the way we conduct ourselves. He's teaching us how to consider. We are becoming the what? The instruments through whom he administers the medicine. Go ahead, read on out.
13. But go ye and learn what that meaneth.
Yeah, that means he goes, you learn. In other words, he's telling the Pharisees, you don't even know what the purpose of what the Most High set you guys up for. Go ahead.
I will have mercy and not sacrifice.
Right, because it's written in the scriptures, the Most High what? His sacrifice didn't mean as much if you weren't a merciful person with the people that needed it. And they didn't understand that. Now I got one more and I'm going to let you guys go in this vein. Go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 16 in the Apocrypha. And let me say this out. You got to start letting these brothers work on you effectively. All of you brothers who are all in the sisters, everybody that's involved in the council, stop beating around the bush and wearing your fucking self down with all of these hours before. Open up right away. You guys got to take a step too. You can't be wearing out your elders. You can't be wearing out each other like that. And you wonder why it's taking so long, because you won't just be truthful. Here. The third hour, it's like this magical dynamic to where you gotta just wear everybody to, then you finally come out. Now the council, 6 hours in, is starting. Everybody's energy is done. He's mental and spiritual alacrity. That means that willingness to get in there has been exhausted. The scriptures tell you the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. You guys drive the spirit now until now the flesh is the one operating 6 hours in. That took 2 or 3 days. Why? Because you won't just come in and be sincere and upfront. You're playing with the spirit of the Most High. Come and get the medicine. Read that verse out. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 16 and verse 12.
Wisdom of Solomon 16 and verse 12. For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health.
Now this is talking about us coming out of Egypt into the wilderness. The experience that the Most High was taking us, he was working on us. So when it says it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster, it's talking about the nature The condition that we were under, it didn't require a mollifying herb is like a balm or something put on an open wound, like a burn or something, a deep laceration. A mollifying plaster is talking about a cast. He said that's not the type of illnesses that this people had coming out of Egypt. Read it again from the top.
God, Wisdom of Solomon 16 and verse 12. For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health, but thy word, O Lord, which healeth all things.
But thy word. So you guys have to let that word take root. You got to be honest from the beginning of the council. And now, guess what? I describe our sickness as insanity. But guess what? In other words, the sickness, what we demonstrate, what we elicit, is insane behavior. But guess what the true sickness is? The true sickness, according to 2 Ezra chapter 3, is a wicked heart. You got to look at yourself and just say, I'm wicked. That's what you are. Read that verse one more time. And I'm sorry, y'all. I guess I'm wicked because I lied. I said that was the last verse, but we're gonna get another verse. Shit. What you expect from a wicked person, right? Anyway, read that verse one more time, chapter 16 of Wisdom of Solomon and verse 12. And then we're gonna go to 2 Ezra chapter 3, so we can walk away knowing what our true sickness is, and that the insanity that we display are the symptoms of being wicked. Our true sickness is we have a wicked mind. Go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon 16 and verse 12. It says, for it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health, but thy word, O Lord, which healeth all things.
Oh, that's the word. I don't care what it is. The nature of illness that we have, the word of the Most High heals everything. So in order for us to know, then let's find out, then what is the true sickness? So go to 2 Ezra chapter 3, and we're only going to read a couple of verses so that we can just see what our diagnosis is. I want you to start off at verse 17. Our target verse is verse 22. So we're going to read from verse 17 to 22, and then we're done. And that's it.
Ezra 3 and verse 17. And it came to pass that when thou leadest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to Mount Sinai, and bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, and movest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and troublest the men of that age. And
all the miracles that were involved in bringing us out of Egypt. All of the phenomena, the strange supernatural phenomena that went into producing the law for us. You're going to see in the next verse. Go ahead.
Now, and thy glory went through the four gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel.
So all of this is talking about what Moses witnessed and experienced in the producing of the first law, the 10 Commandments, so that he could teach us what? Diligence. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And yet thou tookest not from the slack, and yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart.
So hold on. He used Moses, exposed Moses to some of these great phenomena that Moses didn't even tell us about, because the Most High told Moses, this thing you hide, these things you show the people. It tells you that in 2 Ezra chapter 14. Moses saw it all, and the Most High told Moses, these are the things I want you to tell them, and these are the things you got to keep to yourself. So, but he used Moses to give us the law, but he kept us with the same wicked heart, y'all. He didn't give us the hardware, you see what I'm saying, to be compatible with his software. The law was spiritual and righteous, and he gave the law, a spiritual righteous law, to a corrupt carnal people. Go ahead, read on down.
Now, verse 20.
Read from that again.
Yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them.
Go ahead.
For the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed.
Stop. This is the myth in Israel and in Christianity and everywhere else. People think that Adam was deceived, or his wife was deceived, and then she led him, and then he fell, and then things got wicked. No, Adam transgressed because he was wicked. He was made with a wicked heart. That's what, once again, it says, for the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed. And then Romans 8 tells you that. Romans 8 says the Most High, the creature was made subject, meaning under the control, under the dominion of vanity. To sin, because that was the lesson. His fall would start the lesson that would carry on into this very day. And the lesson is designed to get us to desire to be changed from this mortal state. Huh? We're supposed to hate what we are now. That's what Paul said in the last couple of verses of chapter 7, Romans. Wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death? You got niggas running around here thinking that they're to catch me out, and it's truth. Go ahead, I'll read on down. Read that verse again, verse 21.
For the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed, and was overcome. And so be all they that are born of him. Thus, infirmity was made permanent.
It's an infirmity, and infirmity is an illness. But verse 20 tells us what the infirmity is, a wicked heart. Thus, the infirmity was made permanent. Go ahead.
And the law also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root.
That means the law, we had a consciousness of the law, but our minds are malignant. Malevolence as opposed to benevolence. Our laws, malignant, are inclined to death. Our minds, the way we think. The heart is not talking about the muscle that impulses blood through your body. It's talking about your mind, your consciousness. Go ahead, read it again. Verse 22 from the top.
God, thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away and the evil abode still.
And that's where we are. This is our sickness. So all the things that you see, the insanity, all of the different things, the behaviors that we display that are characterized as sick or insane, deranged, those are the symptoms of what? The true sickness, which is we're just fucking wicked. And when you got to look at me and say, I'm just wicked. And you got to fight. You have to fight. How do we demonstrate to the Most High that we really are appreciative of this opportunity that we have in Christ? We have to fight with the weapons that He's given us. What are the weapons that He gives us? Obedience to the word, obedience to our teachers. It tells you that. Obey them that have the rule over you, and do look after your soul, right? That they do it with what? That they do it with joy. That's what it tells you that, huh? It tells you got to sacrifice. We just read where it says separate yourself from non-believers. If you got a parent that's a non-believer, you got to separate yourself. Grow the fuck up. If you got a rebellious woman, you have to separate yourself. That's what Christ meant when He said, if thy right arm affect thee, cut it off. It is better for you to enter into the kingdom, halt or maim, than to have your whole body perish in what? In hellfire. Just follow the word. Stop making excuses for how come it can't be done, because it can be done. But you got to stop being inclined or predisposed or having that proclivity to wickedness. That's the only way you can fight it. And that's what it means when it says, for it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health, because our issues aren't physical, but thy word, O Lord, which healeth all things. Because why? Because our illness is mental, moral, and emotional. All in the mind, all in the heart, all in what? We're wicked. A very somber class this evening, right? But that's what we are. So y'all brothers, fight your battles. And until the next Friday we meet, man, y'all be having your questions, you know, have them lined up. I like these impromptu sessions.
I appreciate it, brother.
Anytime, brother. I love y'all. Y'all
Yes,
keep
sir.
on fighting. Like the Most High is with you. I just remember this place is a hospital.
God.
All right, this is a damn rehab center where we are. All right.
God,
No.